Are you ready for the show, Jonathan? Because morning has broken, and I am your consecrated host, Father Jeff.
I'm also consecrated.
And a host.
Jonathan.
Good morning. How are you?
Thawing.
It's been cold, and it's going to stay cold.
Yeah.
Exceptionally cold. Like when you only have a single digit as your high, whoo! Whoo!
It just kept getting worse and worse. Everyone knows by now that I don't like cold.
We know that.
And so when I first saw it, it was, low teens, maybe in the 10s was the high for Saturday and Sunday.
It just kept getting lower.
It got getting lower and stretched out.
I know.
It just kept getting longer. I was like, okay, come on.
This is going to be with us for a while. So
bundle
up, stay indoors, drink something nice and warm.
You're not bundling up and staying indoors. You're leaving me and going to a nice tropical climate.
I'm hoping it is. I will be taking my pre-Lenten days away before Ash Wednesday and the craziness of the Lenten season. So a few days just to recollect, hopefully where it will be warmer. Not here.
Yeah, it'll definitely be warmer than here.
It'll definitely be warmer than here. Yes, perhaps I'll text you daily with the temperature.
The pictures of the bright sunny skies.
The pictures of my little toes by the pool. Sorry, Jonathan. I'll think fondly of you.
It's okay. You need a break. I need a break from you, so it works out for everyone.
It works out for everyone. We're all getting our breaks before everything starts up again. Again.
Oh my gosh.
So it is. It's another week full of interesting saints and good stuff going on. I don't really have anything except going away in my life that's happening this week. What about you? Do you got anything special?
Well, so Saturday we did the first
discipleship, neighborhood representative,
one-on-one
training, workshop.
We're working on really outreaching to the neighborhoods and the surrounding areas, and just we want the church community to be more than just the four walls of our parish. That it really needs to extend to the whole community, and we can't do that ourselves. We really need all the parishioners to be involved, and so this is just the first step. We want to be able to do it well, and so we have the second session is tonight, and then coming up we have a marriage enrichment night.
We got a lot. Yeah,
Theology Night
this week.
Valentine's Day. It is.
It's a week packed of events.
Yeah.
So the discipleship thing, in case you don't know, we're establishing. We're trying to raise up people in the neighborhoods who can be maybe a contact person for the parish, who can say, "Hey, I want to welcome you to St. Charles Borromeo. I want to invite you to St. Charles Borromeo. I want to, call you back to church or to the events that we're having." To let people know what's going on. So just really kind of being not a loud and obnoxious Catholic in the neighborhood, but just being a presence, a visible presence. Like, yep, we know that those folks over there are Catholic and they're proud of it.
Yeah. So then if anyone has any questions, they'll be like, "Oh, I should go ask that person," or just it's like, "Well, fish fries are coming up because it's Lent.
What are you guys doing? Surely you got something happening.
Are you guys doing a fish fry, where you can go sit down because the pandemic? How's that all working out?" That's what those people are for, is to be able to communicate those things. So they'll be in the know, and they'll be able to talk to the people around them and really be an inviting presence. We do want that to be something that's very important.
So we're setting up these little training days just to kind of help equip those folks and to give them a push in the right direction.
Yeah.
And then see where it goes. I mean, that's the beauty of this. See where it goes. But to constantly be working together and accompanying each other on the journey. And then we got marriage enrichment night, like you said, on Friday.
Yeah.
And that's for all engaged couples, all married couples. We do need you to register. So if you want to come, I think you got to send this guy an email.
Yep. Jonathan at scbccomaha.org.
Right.
I still have not gotten them to change that.
SCB, St. Charles Borromeo, CC, Catholic Church, Omaha.org. When you think about it, it makes sense then. Otherwise, it's alphabet soup.
Yeah.
SCBCCOmaha.org. Woo!
But yeah, the topic this month is this session is vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
My wife will actually be speaking. So
yeah, she is. She's a counselor.
She's a
talk
counselor.
about opening up.
Yeah.
And, when you open up, it's a scary thing. But hopefully, if you can open up in the context of marriage, them's are signs there's some problems.
That's an issue. Yeah, but yeah, for her, she is not, as most people aren't, a fan of public speaking. So there's vulnerability even in just giving the talk.
It is.
And
Most people would rather die than have to give a public speech.
Yeah.
Which is crazy in my mind.
Well,
how many speaking opportunities can I do today?
And I've said it many times. I think the way that speech is taught in schools is just done really poorly. Because that is such a big fear, it needs to be approached from a different way that can make you comfortable and confident about it, as opposed to...
Well, you're just afraid of making a mistake in front of people.
Right, and so you teach people to talk about things they're passionate about, where even if it's a mistake, so, high school male, you tell him to start talking about some sports or, something that he's passionate about, and he can tell you anything you want to know about the Kansas City Chiefs and whatever. But then you'd get him to talk about this juxtaposition of blah, 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 blah. And it's like, blah, 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 and that's how it comes out. And then they never want to speak in front of anybody ever again.
Yeah. I mean, the first rule of public speaking is always talk about something you know. If you're talking about something you don't know, that's also a problem.
Yeah, it becomes evident rather quickly.
Exactly. Nobody wants to do that. So talk about what you know. That's what I do. I always talk about what I know. I'm not going to get up there and like, okay, I got to remember these points because I researched them and I really don't know them, but I'm just going to Wikipedia. I'm going to be like Wikipedia for you. That's not what we're called to be. Anybody can go do that. I'm going to tell you what I know and pass that on.
Yeah.
So, vulnerability, this Friday, how that affects marriage, how it opens up a marriage, how it blooms a marriage. So, it's a good evening. It's basically a snack and sweet and salty treats with some drinks and some social time and some chit-chats and talks.
Yeah, some vino.
So that's wine. For all of you who just may
vino?
not know that. What's vino? Exactly. So it's not a live stream event. It's one of those events that you really do have to come to.
Yeah.
Because that's the point of it. It's not just about learning something, but it's about being in the situation.
Yeah. Community building.
Community building. Then on Saturday, we've got Theology Night. And theology, this month's topic, now we do that every month, that is live streamed, but we also like to have people come in person.
Right.
And so we set up tables and chairs because we also serve a meal. This Friday we'll be serving Sloppy Joe's, Jonathan's favorite, and it is hopefully going to be a great evening.
Yeah. No, Theology Nights are really wonderful, and if you haven't had a chance to go to one, hopefully you've been able to watch one on a live stream or the taped versions.
I would imagine they're much better in person.
They are much better in person.
Because it's a very long talk. If it's just, but when you're sitting there eating, visiting with friends or people that you don't know in the parish too well but want to get to know, or just like, hey, I don't know you, let's, again, the camaraderie, the fellowship, that's the most important thing. The theological tidbit that I might throw out there, I don't know that that's the most important thing. It's definitely a thing.
Right. No, it's great to get, come away with
formation.
A handful of nuggets that you can store away for later. But really, even just that interaction, I know that you are focused on giving this talk, presentation, but there is interaction amongst the people there or the people at the table.
Yep.
And so a lot of times if someone's laughing about something on the video of it, you don't really catch it. And that's, like most things, it's better than nothing. But really, if you can make it out there, RSVP to that as well. Because we can provide the meal for you. You can bring your own food if you want. But
and there's, they can email you.
Or parish@scbccomaha.org.
Yeah, it'll get there. Someone in the office. Send an email to someone in the office, not me. And it will.
Not you.
It'll get lost in my email So send it to someone else, not me, that you will be there for that. So we know how many sloppy joes to prepare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
And
that.
if you have any of your favorite sloppy joe recipes, send us a message with that too. We want to just learn about all the different kinds of sloppy
All
joes.
the sloppy joes. Jonathan's not sure he likes them yet. He hasn't met a sloppy joe that he's fallen in love with.
That is very true.
So we are going to. I'm not sure exactly what recipe we've settled on, but this was an area of great discussion in the office these past week and a half at least to determine what we were going to do. You know, every once in a while we just have to focus everyone's energies on something totally not parish related, and so we've gone down the rabbit hole of sloppy joe purveyerness.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a big part of that depends on the buns, and we didn't even get into that. Do you use a brioche bun, a pretzel bun? Because you can't
a pretzel bun would not be good for sloppy joes.
It wouldn't be good for
you
sloppy
need a
joes.
nice soft one for sloppy joes.
You
Otherwise
do.
you bite down and it all goes everywhere.
But it can't be too flimsy because then it gets soggy.
Exactly.
So it is really,
but that's where you have to turn the bun upside down, because I feel the top bun is typically is thicker than the bottom bun. So on a sloppy joe, it's you have to flip your world upside down.
So many reasons to not eat sloppy
This we could do a whole show on this. I'm not a big sloppy joe connoisseur, but I am. Yeah,
You're a fan. You said you.
I don't mind them. You know, it's a Midwestern fare for sure. It's definitely brown some ground beef and throw in some tomatoey meat flavoring things, and it's going to be delicious.
See, in Texas, we just make chili.
Yeah, but your chili is not soupy there, is it? It's less soupy, so it's probably basically a sloppy joe.
Texas chili does not have beans.
I know. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I don't know if that qualifies.
It's
It's not chili soup.
Well,
It could be.
So,
but there's no
the
beans.
first time I learned about Texas chili not having beans, it was a priest friend of mine. He was what's it called? The person in charge of the campus.
Chaplain?
The chaplain there at St. Thomas. And he's a big Texas guy, brisket, barbecue. He's like, I need to give you some Texas chili. It's like, oh, this is going to be good. Father Mike, he does pretty good with the barbecue and stuff.
Yep.
He serves me a bowl of ground beef with some broth that had stuff in it.
Yep.
But
You're like, what is this?
This I was very disappointed.
Where's all the stuff that goes in here?
So you need to be able to have multiple types of meat, and other things.
Some chunks.
If you're gonna do Texas chili, you can't just have it ground beef.
I think that's true.
We really got off on
We are on a tangent. This has been a morning of tangents. Today, there's a couple saints that we want to talk about. We've got Saint Jerome Emiliani, who is not well known. He was, I think, a nobleman, prince kind of guy, commander of a fortress, whatnot. He ended up getting imprisoned for about a month or so. And during that month, he had a conversion experience, was ordained a priest, founded a religious order that would then...
Did you say Ignatius of Loyola? I'm just kidding. It's a very similar story.
But it's a similar story. I'm like, I don't know, did I? But it's the same thing. Yeah, you have these conversion experiences. And one of the biggest things that I guess that we could take away from him is that there's a lot of stuff in the world that troubles us and bothers us that we have no control over. Yeah. So rather than fixating on all of the things that we cannot control, that's just going to unsettle us or raise our blood pressure, why don't we turn our energies toward those things that we can control and serve the neighbor in our backyard, reach out to someone in need right here and make a difference there. So if there's anything that we should take away, the saint of brotherly love here is probably a good one to follow.
I agree.
It's also the saint feast day of Josaphine Bakhita.
Yeah.
She's quite a woman.
Yeah, she started out as a slave in Sudan.
Right.
And was a slave for many years.
Yeah, quite a bit of her life, and like brutally a slave.
Oh yeah, there was count stories of her being beaten, and
she wrote that just as the lash marks and the whip stripes were healing, they would just be reopened and beaten. She'd be beaten some more, and I mean she just lived a horrible life until she found her her freedom, really, she ended up serving in Italy, and then she was given her freedom, and she entered a religious order and was baptized. So she was not Christian. I think she was forced to become a Muslim when she was a slave to some sultan or someone. And then she became a Christian and a Catholic nun. And she's just really a remarkable story of perseverance and, trust, and that you can experience horrible, horrible things. And those horrible, horrible things do not have to destroy you or define you.
That redemption is always possible with God, and that, a lot of times people ask, well, how can a loving God allow all this suffering? How can a loving God allow, for me, my mom to die at 15?
Right.
But there's more to it than that. He doesn't just let that happen and that be
That's
it.
right. That's right. First of all, he doesn't desire it to happen.
No.
Secondly, the thing about God is he permits these things to happen so that he can bring a greater good out of them. And all we have to do is look to the cross as our example. He permitted the death of his son so that something so much better could come out of that. The life of grace. No longer a life tied to this world, but a life tied to the Spirit. That could not have happened without the resurrection. And so he brought something better out of this horrible, horrible thing.
Because any pain that we're feeling, suffering, God's right there with us. If we hurt, he hurts.
Yep.
The last thing God wants is for our pain, our sorrow. He wants love and joy. That is who he is, what he desires for us.
I gave someone recently some counsel who's struggling with just, I want to pray for those people in government that I don't agree with or that I don't like or whose policies are not my cup of tea, but I don't know if I can really pray for that. I don't know how to do that or to do that rightly, whatever. And my counsel to this person was, what you pray for is not that certain policies or certain things or that this person is all of a sudden going to flip to the other side of the political spectrum. But what you pray for is that whatever they do, that God will bring some good out of it. That God can bring good out of anything. And so when we see policies or when we see things happening that we don't agree with or that really, we're like, that's going to go down the wrong path, God can still bring good out of that. God, it may not be that thing, but there may be an ancillary thing that's been ignored that can now rise and blossom and bloom. So just pray that God will bring good out of all things. And Josaphine Bakhita kind of points us to that.
Yeah, I think that's much more realistic than thinking that any politician would be completely Catholic and morally just.
Or even in your workplace or among your family. Like, I'm not going to change Aunt so-and-so. She's never going to be, that's just not going to be. But can something good come out of what she does or our relationship or the things that we're doing? Absolutely.
And that's not to say you don't pray for an encounter with God, that, their lives can be transformed still.
Right.
But it is probably more fruitful to be praying for those things, especially because that is something that is more changeable.
And to pray that our own tunnel vision be widened. Because oftentimes we're only looking at one little tiny issue or one thing, and we've now fixated on that, no matter how important it may be, but that our own vision is widened and we see that, oh yeah, I've been looking at this person through the lens of this thing, and of course they don't fit in that. But when I expand my view, now I can see that there's a whole lot of decent goodness about this person that helps me to appreciate him or her and to really begin to celebrate the goodness and focus on that rather than the stuff that troubles me.
Yeah. Easier said than done.
Of course. It's a lifelong journey. Scholastica? I think Wednesday will be Saint Scholastica, sister of Saint Benedict. I think they were twins.
I don't know much about her.
I think they were twins. I want to say they were twins. In any case, they had a tight bond between them. And there's a great story that's in the Office of Readings that's prayed in the Liturgy of the Hours every year on her feast day, that as she was reaching the end of her life, so she was kind of a nun as he was a monk, and they would get together infrequently because, the men and the women separated and they're cloistered and all that good stuff. But she invited him over, and they spent the day together, and he was very kind of, nope, the sun is setting, it's going to be time for me to go back. And, she knew her life was nearing an end and whatnot, and so she was like, no, brother, just stay with me, it's okay, we can have this time. Nope, gotta go, time's up, blah, blah, blah. So she immediately put her head down and began praying to the Lord, and immediately a terrible storm was stirred up and that prevented him from leaving the house. It was just rained like you couldn't believe it would rain.
Wow.
And he just said, sister, what have you done? And she's like, you wouldn't listen to me, so I turned to my God, and he did. So they were able to spend the night together in conversation and camaraderie, and then I believe she ended up dying the next day or two. And he had the vision of her soul departing like a dove, and was just blessed to have been that. So, sometimes we can be so fixated on the things we need to get done or the rules or whatever, and not pay attention to, here is, my elderly sister or whatever. So they're buried in a monastery outside Monte Cassino, I believe, outside of Rome, and I believe they're actually buried in the same tomb.
Oh, cool.
Like literally together. They were buried together. And that's why I want to say they were twins, but Jonathan will let you know if I'm right about that.
I will.
And then, on the 11th,
Our Lady of
Lourdes. Our Lady of Lourdes. She's kind of one of my favorite apparitions of Mary.
Yeah?
I think so. Maybe it was because that was like the first Marian shrine I really visited. I mean, I went to the National Shrine, but Lourdes was, I visited there in I think it was my first year of seminary in Rome when I was at the North American College. And it was in the dead of winter. It was at the end of the year. It may have even been on December 31st that we were there.
Wow.
So it was a very quiet place, not too many people out and about in the cold. So it was just peaceful, and it wasn't as touristy as it sometimes can be when all of the pilgrimages are there with the sick during the rest of the year. But Lourdes, I mean, her story is kind of incredible. Little Bernadette.
Yeah. None of it makes sense. Just it's
exactly
the fact that it was a dump, right? And
there was nothing really.
Yeah,
there
wasn't anything there, and Our Lady appeared and said, there's a spring of water.
Yeah, little girl, why don't you go dig there into the ground? You'll find a spring of water, and I want you to drink from that well and to wash yourself.
Yeah.
And then I'd like a shrine built here. And, Mary, again, always building churches. She's into real estate. And, she revealed herself to little Bernadette as the Immaculate Conception. Bernadette, being this young girl, the theological concept of the Immaculate Conception was over her head, but she knew it. And that's one of the things that convinced the bishop that this girl knew what she was talking about. And so Lourdes now has become a place where people will go to find healing, to wash in the waters, to drink the waters, to pray for healing, and countless miracles have been ascribed to that place and to her intercession. So just a neat place.
Yeah, there's a movie. This time it's actually the right saint. Last time I tried to give you a St. Thomas More movie.
That's right. Wasn't the same.
Song of Bernadette, which is pretty good. It's all of those movies are a little bit slow moving, but
older, different time, different storytelling techniques.
So I went to Lourdes. It was a little bit of a rainy day, and there's a lot of people. And we're like, we can go to mass to Lourdes because we were only there for a few hours.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we need to go back. So we went to this mass. It was in the underground church, which is kind of ugly.
The crypt.
Well, isn't like in the
Because
front?
there's the top one, and then there's the one below, which I think is like the Rosary Chapel. I don't remember.
I don't know. It looked like
Anywho.
a parking garage.
Yeah. Oh, I know which one you're talking about. It's not there.
No.
It is off. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It was like, it's a giant.
It's huge.
Giant. Like it holds 20,000 people. I mean, I'm not sure, but it's
That's
huge.
cool.
So it's basically just this giant cement thing.
It's ugly.
Yeah. It was built totally for practical purposes.
So we went to Mass there. It wasn't in English. I don't know what language it was.
Sure.
And they were celebrating something. So it was like a 2-hour Mass, something
Wow.
just ridiculous
Wow.
that's not what we really wanted because we wanted to be able to explore.
Jonathan
and
wants
things.
to get in and out. No time to celebrate the Lord's sacrifice. I've got things to see, souvenirs to buy,
I had plenty of time for the Lord's
water
sacrifice.
to drink.
The banners walking in that I don't know what it had
You
on
could
there
have just
and other
turned
things.
around and left at any point. I have certainly done that.
Yeah, well, I don't remember exactly what we did.
It's like, well,
I think
we've
we
already
left
been
early.
here for 45 minutes.
Oh, no,
and
we
we're
had a good
still
seat.
at the homily.
We had a good seat,
Oh.
and then it was regardless. The rest of the time, we kind of sprinted through. So we did the walk with the Stations of the Cross outside. We went to the church, took some pictures, other things. Got some of the spring water out of a tap, put in a bunch of bottles that weren't sealed, so they've dried out now. Drank some of that water. We didn't go into the baths, but yeah, it was a
memorable
trip.
experience.
Yeah,
There you go.
And it was really beautiful, and there is a special place in my heart for Lourdes because I was able to actually be there and still feel some of the aura, I guess. I don't know what it is. When you're in
it's just a holy
place.
place.
Yeah.
It is, and you can tell that it is because people who are there are coming in vulnerability. You know, the sick and the weak, and so it really is just about them. World Day of the Sick. It's also kind of been designated as World Day of the Sick to pray for healing, and especially I just think of all of those people in hospitals and nursing homes right now who don't have visitors, who are lonely, and that this might be a good day to spiritually join ourselves with them. Yeah. So Our Lady of Lourdes that day. And then, the weekend rolls around, Jonathan, and Valentine's Day falls on Sunday.
Yeah.
You already got your plans?
Nope. I've always, and God bless my wife for putting up with me, I've never liked Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Because you're forced to do something, and it's like, well, every day should actually be Valentine's Day, but you can't buy it.
Jonathan doesn't like to be told to do things.
That's right.
He wants it to just swell up within him.
Everything,
because
even
it
my
doesn't,
faith.
That's why we have to have Valentine's Day. It should just come naturally, and Genevieve is waiting for nature to take its course.
No, I'll figure out something. It's not my favorite.
I think I wrote in the bulletin for next weekend or this upcoming weekend, however you want to describe it, that you either love Valentine's Day or you hate Valentine's Day. You're either the romantic who looks forward to the expressions of love and the time spent together with your beloved, or you are the cynic who believes that it is a holiday of candy makers and card writers so that they can make money. Which one do you suppose Jonathan is?
I'm kind of in the middle because it is very much that second one. So I love
It's got a bizarre history too. It's like it's named St. Valentine's Day, but nothing about first of all, we don't know which Valentine. There's 3 of them. The 2 of them died on the same day, priests and martyrs, so far back that the stories are convoluted. Really doesn't have anything to do with romantic love much at all, except for then the legends that get tacked on later on. So it just was in the old calendar. It was celebrated on February 14th. And it wasn't really seen as that. I think there was some pagan holiday like on the 13th.
Probably.
About lovers and things like that. And so that probably got elided with it. But it wasn't really until like the 15th century when Geoffrey Chaucer wrote a poem, the Parliament of Fowls. And it's this poem about the birds and their mating customs and whatever, and he makes reference that the birds will find their mates on St. Valentine's Day. And so it seems like the romanticism of Valentine's Day doesn't really take off until Geoffrey Chaucer and England. And so that kind of probably is more where we get that. And then in the Second Vatican Council, February 14th, even though St. Valentine, that's still his day. Because there was so little known about him, he was no longer in the general calendar of the church. So it's still optional for that day. But Saints Cyril and Methodius were raised up as the obligatory memorial for that day. So if you'd go to church on February 14th when it's not on Sunday, it would be the feast day of Saints Cyril and Methodius. Unless you're actually in a church named after St. Valentine, then you would pray that.
I don't know of any St. Valentine's church.
There's probably a few in Italy, and that's about it.
Yeah, so I do like doing the romantic things and other things, but then it's so expected. So it's hard to be romantic when it's expected.
That's why you just have to, catch her off guard. As soon as she walks in the door, all of the confetti falls, the kids start, you got to, that's what you need to do. You need to do like a music video with the kids, and then you play it for her. And you show that where you put on this little, come on, Jonathan. So we need to end this show so Jonathan can get busy on his romantic video card to his wife, created by him and his lovely children. I can't wait to see that. I hope you'll share it with us. In the meantime, have a warm week. Stay bundled up, and I will talk to you later.
Adios.